Welcome, guys, to another episode of Consciously Curious, where we deep dive with those that are thriving in their passion. On today's episode, we're joined by MK Andersen.
Hi.
From Your Day by MK.
Yes, I am MK. Of Your Day by MK.
Of Your Day by MK, and she's going to share a little bit about what it's like to be a wedding planner. But overall, you're kind of an event planner.
Mm-hmm.
And you offer services for month of, coordination and day of, as well as the full shebang, A to Z, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
How's your 2020 going?
I think great. I've started waking up consistently earlier.
Yeah.
Which is great.
What are some other lofty goals that you had?
Read 20 books.
In the month? Or
No, in the year.
Oh, okay.
In the year, which doesn't seem lofty to some, but when you take into account that I am in the process of reading the Harry Potter series, which I've never read before.
Oh, okay.
That is lofty, because those are like 5 books in one book. So that's like 30 books to read. So
Yeah, no, I've read them all, so but a long time ago.
Yeah, they're long, but they're good. I mean, I think it's interesting. Like I catch myself being kind of cynical. So I just finished the 4th book.
Okay.
The Goblet of Fire. And at the beginning of the book, I was like, of course Harry got picked. Like, come on. Of course.
Yeah, lame story for
right.
it.
But that's what my boyfriend said. He was just like, yeah, it's not going to be like Harry Potter in a normal school year. I was like, you're right. You're right. But I just remember being very frustrated that, again, something happened to Harry. But that's like the point of it, so it's fine. It's cool. We've moved on. I'm now on the 5th book.
On your blog, how you wrote something about a no-buy.
Oh, right, yes.
Is that for the year?
Yes, yeah.
That's a lofty goal.
Yes, it is a lofty goal.
How hard has that been?
Okay, it's actually not as difficult as people think.
Okay.
I thrive under cold turkey rules.
And for those that don't know.
Yes, so I'm doing a no-buy year, and with that, I think it's very important to talk about why you're doing it. So for me, it's just because I think I have too much like knickknacks and things, and I want to be more intentional about the stuff that I already own. For example, I have a drawer of notebooks that I don't use, and I purposely saved them from college. Like I ripped out all the pages I've already used, and I was like, great, these are leftover notebooks that I can use. And what do? I just go buy more notebooks and pens. I have so many pens. I have like 20 candles.
Yeah, you wrote like when your friend was like, oh, I finally need a new pen, and I ran out of ink. And you're like, I've never run out of ink.
I've never run out of ink in a pen. And so I was like, this is insane. And I think that just kind of got me thinking about it.
Right.
And just in general, like I'm self-employed, and I just want to be more conscious of like the money I have.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, for some, they need to like save up for a down payment or like pay off some loans and stuff, and I'm like really fortunate in that I don't have that issue. So I already save a lot of money, so to me like it's just a secondary bonus to like be saving more money. But I just really wanted to be more aware of like, what am I actually spending my money on, like where is it going each month.
For sure.
And so it's not, and people think that it's difficult because like they shop a lot. I actually do, like contrary to popular belief, like I don't shop for things. Like my downfalls are random bags of M&Ms. Like I would just walk by Walgreens and be like, oh, a bag of M&Ms today. And that's where my money would go. It would not go to like new clothes or new things or whatever. So yeah.
Where'd you learn? Did you read a book about this?
No, just a friend. Her name is Allison Kujer. I just like am pals with her, follow her Instagram. And a couple years ago, I think she did the same thing. Okay. But like because of it has, like made it part of her just life to continuously finish things before buying new things.
Sorry, before we move on, speaking of friends, shout out to Anna.
Oh yeah, Anna.
Thank you so much. I know she's listening.
Thanks, Anna.
So.
Yeah. She better at least.
Well, the guy that I was thinking of was a guy that authored I Will Teach You How to Be Rich, so by Ramit Sethi. And he helps people develop a good relationship with money. So it's not a healthy relationship to be a penny pincher in every aspect. So identify what things you do enjoy, like get a lot of value and pleasure from, like bags of M&Ms, and like don't feel sorry if you like were to splurge occasionally. Right. So yeah, I mean, I think you having a good relationship with money will translate to your clients or helping your clients, when it comes to budgeting and things like that.
Right. And I think you're right. It's not about penny pinching. Like for me, I also put an emphasis on I'm allowed to have I want to enjoy experiences. Like I think I was just being more focused on that momentary joy of like buying M&Ms, right? Like, oh yeah, I love M&Ms. Like let's just buy another bag right now. And that's like such momentary joy. Whereas like I would rather save up the money or just spend the money on, like, I keep saying this and I am going to do this. I'm going to join an adult Irish dance class. Okay, like I am. I heard it's a thing. And I think that would be so much more fun to do 8 weeks of an Irish dance class. Or I'm in a shuffleboard league right now at Royal Palms. That's so much more fun than like a bag of M&Ms on Tuesday.
Good for you.
You know? So I'm not like depriving. Everyone think, man, one lady I chatted with was like, you're depriving yourself from the joys in life. And I think she even said something like, your boyfriend's going to want to see you all dressed up nice in new clothes. I'm like, he's fine. Like, we will be okay. Lord, like, if you want to buy me clothes, go for it. But like, I don't need to do this. Thank you. Funny. Yeah. So we're all surviving. It's fine.
Good.
Yeah. It's good. It's an interesting life, like,
a good
thing. But
good 2020. Good January.
Yeah.
Good. So let's start back in, I guess, college, because you didn't know that you were gonna be a planner.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a combo of both. Yeah, I said it as a joke a lot.
Okay.
So for the first 2 years of school, I was like, if this school thing doesn't pan out, I'm just gonna become a wedding planner. As like a joke. I said it as a joke, but it was because I was always very interested in weddings. Like, I knew a lot about them for some reason, honestly, because like my whole family's kind of obsessed with weddings. Like, we're very big, like, royal wedding family sort of thing.
What's a like a big,
like, we love the royal wedding. Like the royal family and like the royal weddings.
Okay.
So like my mom in college or law school, timing, I don't know. Like, she stayed up to watch like Princess Diana's wedding.
Okay.
You know, like that was something that she was like interested in, because it's like, it's silly, but it's also just like very interesting. Yeah. So that's kind of like where our family was. So we love to host events. We love weddings. Like, these are things that we knew. So as a joke, I was always like, yeah, if this school thing doesn't work out, like, I'll just become a wedding planner.
So plan B. What was plan A?
I was a political science major. And so I always wanted to be a high profile campaign manager.
Oh, okay.
But like, I did an internship in DC after my freshman year, doing like on the Hill, and I didn't like that stuff. I wasn't good at like sit down, be quiet, and do political theory. That was not my jam.
Or do you think that was what you had to do to get to a certain spot within that circle?
I don't think. I personally don't think so. I think.
Interesting.
I think to do
because you were interning, right? So like, it's
right.
Like,
it's interning, but we were in the same room as like these
and you were
congressmen's actual staffers, right? And I could see what they were doing, and it was just sitting and reading and learning. And I do value reading and learning, but I love talking to people.
Okay.
You know, and so like whenever the phone rang, I was like, yes, sign me up. I will answer the phone.
Okay.
Or if people came in for tours of Congress, like, sign me up. I will do the tour. Like, I loved walking around and like showing people stuff and chatting with them. Yeah. I didn't really want to just sit all day. Yeah. I'm also like a very active person, so sitting is just not my thing. So I didn't want to do like political theory stuff. Not my jam. And then I was thinking like, I was thinking high profile campaign manager, but at the same time, I mean, I think I went through like 4 different career job life ideas. Like, I'm very big on making 5-year plans, and I would just make these huge 5-year plans for all these different things. I wanted to do university development, and then I realized that really meant like university fundraising, and I was having a hard time with like the morals and ethics behind all that. And thought I wanted to do like alumni association work. Again, the idea of like working with people, and but still like loving the idea of, you know, high profile campaign management. And so then by junior year, I was like, okay, this isn't a joke. I will get a real job, and then I will open my wedding planning firm on the side as a side business, and one day I will like change the priorities, make it, you know, shift them down and up and whatever. And then took an internship in between junior and senior year in Atlanta, and I didn't enjoy it.
As what?
I was working in Emory's Alumni Association in like the student part of it. In their development office, student part of it, but it was the summer, so there weren't any kids there. So like nothing was happening, and it was, you know, it's not to discredit the work. They were very nice people, but I just kind of was like, this isn't for me. Like, I don't think I like this. But at the same time, I was like, well, while I'm here, I might as well see what it's like to do wedding planning on the side. You know, so I reached out to a bunch of different wedding planners in Atlanta, which is a totally different beast than Chicago, by the way. But it just so happened that there was a shadow program weekend thing for this company that actually wanted to franchise. Very interesting concept. So I went, and I'm very good at knowing sales pitches. So I kind of was just like, please don't sell me. I know you're trying to sell me on this. I just have questions. And they were like, oh, wow. Okay, sure, yes. So I was like, great, thank you.
What would they have been selling?
The franchise. So they wanted people.
They want you to open up your
under their name in a different territory.
Interesting.
Yes, which is a very interesting concept. I had not heard of that before.
I mean, it's appealing if you don't. Would they help you? No, you'd have to come up with the funds, right? But they would like provide the training and maybe the resources.
Right.
Okay.
So that was why. So that's where this kind of like shifts into owning my own business. So, I like did the weekend, shadowed the wedding, and it was such a tacky wedding. But I just remembered thinking like, oh my gosh, I love this. I do love this. I like this idea of like being in charge and like executing an event, like being in charge of this event. I was like, yes, sign me up. Even though this was literally the tackiest wedding I'd ever seen in my life, I was down for it. Which is why I knew it was like yes, because if it was so disgusting, like in theory you wouldn't want to do it, right? And so I was like, okay, this is great. So I talked to them. I got their paperwork, and I would have to sign on for 10 years.
Oh.
Yes, and as a like 21-year-old, can you imagine?
It's a big commitment.
Right. I mean, it's not like, to be fair to them, the people they were targeting were mostly like 50-year-old women who were more settled, lived in the same place, and were probably on a second career, whereas I was 21, and the idea of signing up for something for 10 years, kind of nuts. So
was the only difference, like you'd be kind of confined to a sandbox then, or...
Yeah.
It's not your name. Some people want to make a name for themselves.
Right. It's kind of a combo of all of that. Yeah. So both my parents are retired judges. They were lawyers. So I sent them the contract and was like, can you guys please look over this? Let me know,
Yeah.
I mean, I had already had my own
thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, the 10 years thing is a lot just because you never know what's going to happen in 10 years. There's also a non-compete clause. So regardless of... If I did like it and I wanted to start out on my own, like I couldn't for a certain amount of time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then there was just like interesting boundary rules and all that jazz. And so my parents came back to me and they're like, you should just do it on your own.
Wow.
Like just go for it. It was, and I mean, if they hadn't, I mean, it's so easy to want to have the training and the umbrella of someone else, right? Like that's what they were selling was the, like validity of what they already are as a company. And so, that's so tempting. But like the 10 years thing really just,
Interesting. What if it was like 5 years? What if it was...
Even so though, I mean, it's one thing to be 30 to 35, but from 21 to 26, right out of school when everyone's changing their life like all the time, I didn't think that was smart. So
good for you.
Yeah. So my parents were like, you should just do it on your own. And if it works, it works. And it's your name. And you can just keep running with it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then you can just close up shop. Like with the franchise, you have to like buy back or pay back. There's some money shenanigans with it. Yeah. And there's like all that complication. And they're like, if you don't like it, then you just stop.
Right.
And you move on. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, sounds good. So I went into senior year of school, knowing I was going to open my own wedding planning firm immediately post-grad. And that was awesome because I didn't have to apply for jobs when everyone else was stressing out. But now I live the stressful life. They all have like nice salaries. I'm the one like, oh no, I have to find clients every year.
There's a lot of give and take though, right? Is this, you would call this like you stress, like the stress that keeps you going, that like this is what you wake up for. You're not dreading it. And you don't, although you don't have the cushy salary, you also don't have a ceiling. Right. So it's kind of what you put into it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's a lot of my photographer friends and I chat about this where it is so cool. Like if one day I'm like, I need to make another $500, I can just think up a way to do that. It's a little bit, I mean, with photographers, it's easy for them like, oh, find more people to shoot photos for. Right. For me, it's a little bit more different, right? Like I have to figure out some means of putting on an event and selling tickets, but that doesn't mean I can't do it.
Right.
Like I am in charge of my schedule, my life, my inputs, my outputs, which is that is so liberating. Like I can truly do whatever I want. I can start whatever projects I want. I can close up whatever projects I want. So.
And so during senior year or right after, did you did you seek out a more stable job while you were getting your feet wet with like the business, or you went head first? Or?
Yeah, I went head first. I technically applied for a job with Booz Allen just to say that I did it.
What is it?
It's a consulting firm out of DC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just to say that I applied for a job. I didn't like get a second round interview or anything. Honestly, I didn't prepare for it either.
Okay.
I think I had that moment of like, oh no, what if this isn't like what?
Right.
Yeah, no, but then I only took 7 credits second semester senior year.
Okay.
And so a lot of that time was spent like researching and building my logo, buying my website name or the domain name. LOL. I'm really not that tech savvy. I'm just here to be an ideator. But yeah, I just spent like that semester doing it.
Yeah.
And then once I graduated, I actually went to Israel for a month and like putzed around a little bit just to like have a summer
birthright
break.
Or?
No, I am not Jewish.
Oh,
yeah,
you're
no. Mary Kathleen O'Brien Anderson. No, I did ultimate frisbee in college. It's kind of a long story. But I did ultimate frisbee. I do ultimate frisbee, whatever. And there's a program in Israel called Ultimate Peace where we teach ultimate frisbee to kids.
Okay.
And in theory, it's to bring camaraderie and peace to Israelis and Palestinians and Palestinian citizens of Israel
through the vessel of frisbee. That's
through
awesome.
the vessel of frisbee. Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's kind of a lofty thing. But it was a fun time, you know what I mean? Like it was very much like I've graduated, I'm gonna go do something now.
Good for you, yeah.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then one day I just kind of was like, I guess I'm starting now. So I think August 1st was when I opened my bank account, and I think I like announced it.
Yeah.
August 8th.
Are you in Chicago now?
Yes, like just all in Chicago.
Okay.
And then in terms of supplemental income, I walked dogs.
Yeah. That's the big question, right? Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I had money saved up from school.
Yeah.
I had really cheap rent.
In Chicago?
Yeah, and then I walked dogs. And I still walk a dog, actually, just because it's nice to, like, every day have a reason to leave my house. And I've been walking this dog since I started, so.
Were there any other options you were looking at? Was Uber around? Uber was around, right?
Yeah, but to me, I wanted to give myself as much time as possible to work on my business. Like, I don't think I would be as ahead of where I am or as where I am, words. And if it wasn't for the fact that I was able to dive, like, full time in and just do it all the time, all day, every day. Yeah. And I feel very blessed and fortunate for that. Like, I know lots of other people don't have that opportunity to do that because they do have like loans or they have astronomical rent that they have to pay, like, and if that was something I really had to worry about, then this would be very different. Like I would go get a actually part-time job. Right. But, that's not something I had to do. So I walked dogs, just to have like grocery money. I did technically booked a wedding for August 14th. Was it August 14th or August 12th that year? So, like, I announced, like, August 1st or whatever, and the wedding was 2 weeks later. So, like, by some stroke of luck and fate, I did actually have a wedding. So I had some money, though it was, like, I look back at how much I charged, and I was like, wow, you did not eat that week if you charged that much.
But, I mean, would you have gotten that client if you charged any more?
Maybe. Yeah. But at the same time,
now was it who was it? A stranger, family friend?
No, yeah, it was my friend from high school.
Okay.
Her sister was getting married, and her mom was kind of having a moment of like, oh no, like I don't want to be in charge the day of the wedding. Like, what do I do? And because it was so close to the wedding day, I think my friend was like, well, Mary just opened a wedding planning firm. All my friends in high school would call me Mary.
Okay.
Like, why don't you hire her? So
was it a day of or a...
It was like what I call month of coordination.
Yeah.
But jammed into like 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, but then her sister was getting married in December, the other sister.
Oh, there you go.
So then I stuck my neck out and was like, hey, can I do that one as well? And I did. So, yeah, I mean, through that, domino effect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, before that, I was going to ask if you had any other internships or worked under anyone else before you... Yeah, you really dove head in, I guess.
No, yeah, no. No.
Interesting. So, so with that first client, how ready were you? Like,
Probably.
I guess it was the right amount of pressure to perform.
A lot of adrenaline. Yeah. I mean, now this downplays. You've hosted a party before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's kind of like that, but just larger. You know, there's a lot more things. I think there are lots of skills to being a wedding planner, which is you need to be personable. I think a lot of it is like network. Who do you know? How much do you know about the place that you're in, Chicago? What's it? Not the venue. The
place that you're in.
Yeah, what's it? Like the city, location? Right? What would that be called? The market, right? Like the market that you're in, you know, because Chicago is very different than Indiana or
even the suburbs.
Right. Like it's so different. So yes, there is a lot of that you know from doing it and learning about it that other people do not know. At the same time, the actual execution of a wedding day.
Yeah.
I think those skills are I think you can learn a lot of them, but I think a lot of them are just inherent skills that people have. Like, I think I'm naturally a very, like, I command, like, not attention, but, you know, if I say, like, hey, I have a good power stance, you know? Like, I want stuff to get done, and I'm good at organizing. I'm good at telling people what to do. I'm also very personable, so on the day of, like, yes, I'm telling people what to do, but I'm doing it with a smile.
Right.
And I don't think that is something that you need to learn from someone, because everyone's very different. So, like... But I mean, I was in places and like I was the president of the Notre Dame Ultimate Frisbee Club, and that was like 100-person club. We were traveling out of state at least twice a week, or not twice a week, sorry, twice a month. Like all of the different logistics and battling different types of people, like school versus kids versus whatever. You know, it's not like I'd never done logistical work before. Mm-hmm. I just wasn't doing it for a wedding. Yeah. So I was doing all that stuff. So I think, execution of events. Yeah. I think a lot of people can do that.
Okay.
Without having quote unquote formal training. Now, that's not to say like don't go and assist weddings. I reached out to as many wedding planners as I could and was like, hey, if you guys need assistance on wedding days, like I'll do it for free. I just want to learn. I'm planning to open my own business. So I did assist on a couple weddings, and every once in a while my friends will ask, you know, if they need extra assistance or something. We'll help each other. So I did have like a couple weddings that I assisted, but not ones where I just ran it.
Interesting.
So kudos to that family for letting me run that first wedding day. Thank you very much.
Well, how did the second one go?
Great. They both went great.
They both went great. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I don't have a problem with being like, these are my skills and I'm very good at it. I am very good at running events.
You knew it.
Yeah. This is what I'm good at. I'm good at running around, telling people what to do, being organized, like being in charge of a day and executing a day. And I knew that because I love to host parties. I like to do that. I was president of, you know, a club and telling people what to do and getting that stuff organized. I was like, this is where I thrive.
Interesting why someone would choose to do that within a corporate world rather than be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Well, I'm sure there's companies that have those people.
Totally. Well, I mean, and that's, you know, there's huge event managers for like nonprofits, right, where they're always hosting galas and fundraising events. But I think that just kind of is the idea of having a stable job, right? A 9 to 5. Right, like I give up stability in income and stability in hours. Like I don't goodbye all my Saturdays and Fridays.
Right.
So
you make your own weekends.
Yeah.
So after that event, did it give you the confidence to like, or it reinforced like, this is what I can do. This is my thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I thought, I mean, it was almost like the perfect storm because if I thought to myself, if I can do this with only 2 weeks lead time, then I'll be fine.
Did you have any friends help you out with that event?
Yes, I had one assistant with me. Okay. Which now I have 2 assistants with me. I think assistants are very necessary because I can't be everywhere at once. Right. Yeah.
And how polished was your website at that time?
Pretty decent. Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to prep stuff as much as I could. Okay. Nothing like, I'm very big advocate of done is better than perfect. Okay. But I had something to put out there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I had to use stock images though, you know.
Right. I think people who are doing the research get a good sense of who you are. So it's a good first impression, right? So I guess curating all that and doing your front end work is pretty key. Mm-hmm. And so how did you go on to get more clients after that? How strong, like, if you had to give percentages to word of mouth, to people doing research on the Knot or wherever, right? Like, or Google searches, like, how would you break that down?
Yeah. I would say like 80% word of mouth or some form of, like some form of word of mouth, right? So either by vendor referrals, if it wasn't for those first 2 weddings, so that first wedding, then the sister's wedding was at the Palmer House, then the venue person at the Palmer House referred me to someone else. Then I had the photos, to put up there. And then literally shout out to Notre Dame Catholics getting married all the time, because that is like 80% of my...
That's your bread and butter?
Yes. I mean, and anyone who's Catholic getting married, like, please hire me, because I've just turned that into my... like, that's my niche, right?
Interesting.
Well, because I understand it.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up Irish Catholic as well. Like, I can make the jokes. Like, I understand.
There's a lot of formalities or timing issues or, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I once had a couple, this was before she even booked me. We were just on the phone. And she said, oh, yeah, my ceremony time is at 1. And I was like, okay. She's like, really? I was like, well, yeah, if that's the time the church gives you, like, I don't know what to tell you. She goes, oh, thank you so much.
What do you mean? Like, what's
1 p.m.
Yeah.
Well, so many other wedding planners told her, like, well, that's so early. Like, why can't it be 5?
It's their day, right? It's like...
Right. Well, it is their day, but it's also like sometimes you don't get to decide what time the church gives you. Like, or if you're getting married at your, childhood parish or something, like they only do 11 o'clock, 1 and 3. Or like some of these Catholic churches, like Ignatius down the street here, like they have set times, and if someone else books the later time, like you're stuck with the 3 p.m. or the 1 p.m. And so just the fact that she was like, wow, like, thank you for understanding. I was like, wow, okay, you know what? Maybe this is my...
Because you are understanding.
Right, because I get it. I get that, you can't decide when the church assigns you the time. You can try, but you never know. And yeah, just Notre Dame people love to hire Notre Dame people, which, yes, like...
I sense that.
Yes, but I'm for it. I just brought on an associate to help me on wedding days when I'm already booked, so she'll be doing it under Your Day by MK. She also went to Notre Dame. So like gotta keep it under the same umbrella. I think I counted recently, but like 65 to 80%. This is a very general number, but I just recently got some more bookings, so I don't know how the percentage is, but are Notre Dame or Notre Dame affiliated couples. So like my couples are mostly Notre Dame, or they went to Loyola, or they went to DePaul, or they went to Boston College. So
interesting.
Yeah, we love that Catholics get married. That market will never go away.
No. Well, no. How did you cultivate a good rapport with these vendors, or like how did you seek out these vendors initially?
I think to cultivate a good rapport, I mean, I really truly stand by the idea that we're all working a really long day. Like, let's just be nice and have fun. Like, nothing, like the same thing can get done if I'm nice about it versus if I'm mean about it.
Right.
And so I really try my best to like laugh, make jokes, reach out to vendors. A lot of times if you're doing month of coordination, my first meeting with my couples is actually 3 months before their wedding day. And that's just to get a better understanding of how things are going. Right. It gives us some buffer time. And so then when I reach out to those vendors ahead of time and I actually ask them, what do you guys have planned? What were you thinking? And then building up that relationship from 3 months out as opposed to a week beforehand being like, hey, I'm in charge. This is the timeline. Because it's just, I mean, it's a long day. None of us are like, none of us want to be treated poorly.
But without like any formal or experience with that vendor, how did you seek them out? How do you know if they're like, is it reviews, like reputable, like how?
Yeah. So I do a lot of month of coordination. So for a month of coordination, the couples already book their vendors.
Oh, okay.
So that's the difference between like planning and coordination. Gotcha. So I'm just coordinating. But at the same time, once you then work with those vendors, I have no problem then referring them to my couples. On the flip side, yes, if it's full planning, partial planning, most of the time, if I'm the one giving advice and consulting, I don't want to pick a vendor that I don't know a lot about. Yeah. Because that's like putting my
your name.
My name on the line. Yeah. Right. So yeah, it's very chicken and egg. In that, okay, if I've worked with you, then I'm more likely to refer you. But at the same time, I also spend the winter time like the winter months when we don't really have weddings, I spend a lot of that time getting to know new venues, vendors.
Interesting.
Going and grabbing coffee and chatting and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good. So what percentage of your time is actually at a wedding versus doing the front end research work?
That's a good question.
Or
I don't know. I don't direct my time.
Meetings, like you're building rapport out. It's not just the big day.
It's not just the wedding day. No. Yeah. I mean, I think I'd say, like 75% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because the wedding day.
Like
no matter what happens, the wedding day is like 15 hours long, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
it just seems the life of the planner, just based off the website, it looks very glamorous, right? But like, there's a lot of behind the scenes,
right? Like I never really actually wear this much makeup. Like I don't actually normally look like this. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's with any entrepreneur that you're going to talk to, is that 70% of our job is not actually like what you're an entrepreneur for.
Right.
It's running a business. And so I think that's the same with even just weddings. Like 70% of planning a wedding or being a wedding planner is all the like grunt work, research, like emails, so many emails. And then, because no matter what, the actual wedding day is only ever going to be, 12 to 15 hours, depending on your day. Whereas like the planning time, I mean, the average amount of time it takes to plan a wedding, if you are doing this on your own, you're not like with a wedding planner, is like 8 to 10 hours a week.
Oh,
yes.
That's a part-time gig.
Right. Which is why I think people should hire wedding planners, because like you guys already have lives. Okay. Like no one signed you up for this.
Maybe initially it's like, it's fun to like hop on and Pinterest and whatnot and just like pick out the things that you like. But as the deadline nears, it's like, oh wow, I didn't get a jump on it.
Right. which is really why I love to do month of coordination. I tell my couples like, this is when planning isn't fun anymore. Like it's not picking stuff, it's not getting to fantasize. Right. It's just like answering all the stupid logistics emails. It's like, okay, well, what time am I allowed to load in at the venue? Do you have your certificate of insurance? I need this many vendor meals. And it's like, yeah, I'll do that, because to me, like my day will come. Like I don't really need to have an input of what color flowers you have.
Right.
Like I care that you're happy.
Yeah.
But I love logistics and I like executing. So to me, the end part is fine. Like I'll do that. That's not a problem. But also this is my full-time job. So it's not like this isn't taking away from my life. No. Whereas for everybody else, like yes, people love wedding planning, and I've heard about like post-wedding blues that people have, because
they're not planning anymore,
right? Because you just spend this like year to a year and a half to 2 years, 3 years for some. I know it's nuts. There's this person I know, and I'm like, why did you do that? But they spend all this time like to culminate on this one event, and then
that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
or a lot of very high expectations.
Yes it is. Yeah.
So as an entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur, like, are you just hired one person or two people? One person, Liz,
one person, right?
What's it? Are you working from home, or you go to a co-working space? So like,
kind of both.
How's that? Does it get lonely? Like that's what I mean.
Yeah. My boyfriend hates the end of the day because he's like, I don't want to talk to anybody anymore. Right. Whereas I'm like, please talk to me. I haven't talked to anybody all day. Yeah, it gets lonely when. It gets okay. So I am also starting a podcast. Woo!
Yes. First 100 days.
Yeah, first 100 days, not 100. The word 100.
Nice.
I don't know why I care so much about it, but I do. And I hired someone to compose original music for me, to give it a brand and all that jazz. And there's no one, like, I got the music back. And I want to share it with people, like get some feedback. What do people think about it? Does it sound how I think it sounds, Right. And I like sent it to some of my friends, and like crickets. I'm like, guys, I don't have coworkers. Like someone please tell me what they think. So that gets frustrating, because when you want to collaborate, you want feedback, you want like in the moment, brainstorming. Yeah, it gets kind of lonely.
Yeah.
At the same time though, like, and this is something I'm learning after hiring someone to help me. Like everything I do is all in my head. Like I know my processes.
Yeah.
There we go. Like I know everything, so I can just work at whatever speed I want and get stuff done because I know what I'm doing.
Okay. And so you don't have to be in a different environment to do that?
No, I mean, I like to work from home because I have a separated office. I also do have co-working at the wing.
Yeah.
But I can host all my meetings there, so I like to host all my meetings there to have a very formal, like, this is where I host my meetings. We have free coffee. Please come join me here. It's very aesthetically pleasing, but it's nice. Yeah, like I like working alone just because I don't have to deal with anybody else.
Yeah, and so at the wing, like, have you built a community? Is there like a community there, like with other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, there. So it's to be honest, I don't go as much as I should in terms of community events.
It's not free, right?
No. Okay. It's paid per month. To my knowledge, it's the cheapest co-working space in Chicago. That's of the scale it is. I'm sure there are like smaller studio spaces.
Yeah, but I've heard like other spaces are having a hard time keeping it filled.
Like WeWork is like $290 a month for a floating desk. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I don't have that much money. Like, I'm willing to invest, but not that much. So it's nice to go and chat with people. At the same time, though, like, everyone's kind of working as well. Yeah. So I don't want to just like randomly walk up to someone and be like, hello, want to chat, you know? But there is an app, and because it is opt-in, like, you can get DM'd on this app. You can search people. You can
wing-based app?
For the wing. And you can search for people, and you can like find people with specific industries or like whatever. And so you can find them and you can DM them and you can chat with them. And I did do that with a couple people. I did meet one of my really good photographer friends there. We met because like the community person there was like, oh, you're a wedding planner. She's a wedding photographer. You guys should be pals. And if it wasn't for that introduction, we wouldn't be as good pals as we are. So that's really fun. But for me, I like it because it's a place to host my couples when I have meetings. I
stumbled onto Eric Flober through you.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm just like,
you watching all of his YouTube videos.
Yeah, I had no idea who he was, and it's for me it's rare to stumble upon an influencer from Chicago.
It's funny because I know him and I know that he has a big following, but to me, I'm so like, LOL, it's just Eric.
He's so down to earth, and he keeps it really real. But one of his last videos, they made their own co-working space, like with his other buddies, like other photographer buddies. So I wonder if you'll probably get there, like if that's any appeal to you.
Like, I mean, I work there every once in a while.
Yeah, space for you with people that you collaborate with maybe on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, you know? And I mean, every time I walk into their co-working space, it was by chatting with them at their co-working space that I got the idea for my podcast.
Okay.
Like, I left the space after we had been talking about podcasts, and Eric's really into YouTube. He's like, you know, he just like loves to brainstorm it and stuff and like talk about different avenues and all that jazz.
Right.
And then we were talking about podcast things and all that jazz. And then I left, and that was when it hit me what my topic should be. And it is so beneficial to have that. At the same time, I love waking up and making coffee and then just walking 2 steps to my own office. So it's like really difficult to want to leave the house, you know? So... yeah. You know, pros, cons.
How official does someone have to be? Like how early on did you create your LLC? Or is it mandatory?
So I am no. Okay, wait. This is an interesting question because I am a sole proprietor, but I thought that I was an LLC, or is it the other way around? Yeah, so that's the hard part about starting your own business is that, like, I didn't really know any entrepreneurs when I started, so like I didn't really know what I was doing, and like it's really hard to Google things you don't know, right?
Yeah,
like
if you don't have
what
the
do you
words
know? Right, so but you can start as a sole proprietor.
Okay.
The difference between sole proprietor and LLC is the liability aspect of it, right? So if you're a sole proprietor, everything is one and the same. Like, let's say I just secretly had like $100 million. If you wanted to sue me, you could just take that $100 million that has nothing to do with my business. It's just in like a mutual fund. Whereas like if you're an LLC, it is contained to your LLC, just the business liable stuff. Please, legal people, don't. This is just my understanding. This is not business advice or legal advice. Thank you. But that's the difference. So, like, you can be a sole proprietor.
Okay.
And just be a sole proprietor. That's like, I mean, if you really want to start it ASAP Rocky, like, you can just be a sole proprietor. And then eventually figure out how to do the LLC stuff. you know. But there are filing fees and all that jazz. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any interesting stories with the weddings?
Define interesting.
Oh,
like stuff going wrong.
These are days that are filled with high emotions and high intensity, a lot of pressure, and if maybe one little thing doesn't go right, do people flip out?
I think for some people, yeah. I think I do a decent job, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong though. I think I do a decent job of attracting a certain type of couple. I really do want couples that take the day seriously, which is obviously why they're hiring me, right? Because they're like, you know what? Yes, this is a big day. We've invested a lot of money in this. We want to make sure it goes off the way we planned. That's why they're hiring me. At the same time, I'm not advertising myself as this like luxury wedding planner that plans weddings for $500,000 and that the flower blooms are the most important thing in the world. Like, that is not what I'm advertising. I'm advertising that you're going to have a good day, that you're going to actually enjoy the time with your family and friends, that you're going to be screaming Mr. Brightside on the dance floor when you said you weren't going to, because we all secretly hate that song, right? That's what I care about, not wow, like, where the menu's in place. Am I going to do my darndest to make sure all of those details happen? Yes, I am, because you did invest a lot of money in that. But also, like, we're not going to spend hours toiling over linen colors. That's not what my couple is like.
Yeah.
And so I think I've been really, really blessed in that I don't have a lot of couples that, like, freak out about that stuff. But also, not a lot of things have happened because I'm good at my job.
Yay. So, like, with, like, keeping others cool and calm and collected.
Yeah. I mean, I think people always ask, like, do you have any bridezillas?
Oh, yeah.
No. I've never had a bridezilla. I've never had a groomzilla, by the way, because that's really terrible.
That's
to think
a thing
that
too?
only... Well, okay, for starters, why is it a thing that only women are bridezillas?
You're right. Okay,
huh?
I get it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's important to note. Like, why do people only think that women freak out about it? Because, there's some grooms that care a lot.
When they say it's your day, is it the bride's day or the groom's day?
I think it's a collective your day.
As it should be.
Which is why you had G on, right?
Yeah.
And I've talked to G about how, like, okay, you spend upwards of $10,000 on a dress that you wear for one day. Why aren't these people who wear menswear outfits, right, or suits, why aren't they spending the same amount of money on a suit that can be worn for multiple days?
You're right.
You can wear it so many more times, right? So why aren't we putting some more emphasis on that now? If you're in a that's the wrong word. If you're in a stereotypical, like, hetero relationship where the dude is all dudes, I don't care about flowers, like, okay, then, maybe they don't care as much. But so I've never had bridezillas. I think people underestimate how much the other family members care. So we've had other family members be more of the problematic ones. Not so much the couple. Because the couple's kind of at that point where they're like, whatever, we're married. This is so much fun. We're going to dance and sing.
Now, why is that? Is it because that maybe the family has chipped into the wedding, or?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if parents are gracious enough to help pay, that is definitely a thing. For a lot of parents or just people in general, it could be a status event, right? For some, it could be a status thing, like showing off to their friends. It also could just be like they feel this pressure, but like no one's there to alleviate that for them, even though it's, like it could just be a lot of other outside factors where they feel like it's an important moment to showcase how well they've been doing in life or how well they've raised their kids or something like that. And
so what would you do at that point? Would you go like, Mom, Dad?
I would never be that curt. I think, that's something I discuss with all of my couples, right? So technically my couples are the ones that hire me. That doesn't mean I'm not going to treat their parents well. I just say, like if so-and-so's, we always talk about crazy family members, right? Like, how do we deal with the crazy family members? Because someone's going to pop up being crazy somehow.
Yeah.
And some couples really want me to give them a job or a task. We'll talk about what things are they allowed to have a say on, right? Like arrangement of flowers on the gift table. Like, yes, they can be in charge of that, right? Because at the end of the day, does that change the outcome? No. But other things will be like, okay, do we, tell them to just like get a glass of wine and enjoy the day? And
interesting.
Yeah.
It's a better way than saying don't do that.
Yeah. No. I'm this is where my politics background really comes in handy. So I know how to be a politician with everything. Yeah. Well, because I mean, for them it is a stressful day too, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want them to feel like they don't
matter.
mean anything.
Right.
Yeah. Especially if they're chipping in. Like, I get that, you know.
Have you ever had to say no to a couple or to a vendor maybe?
If they've inquired?
Yeah, maybe after like a meeting, an in-person meeting, and you're like, you know what, this might not work out.
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this person like flaunted themselves as like very powerful and influential, and they had a lot of demands. And I just in the moment was like, you know what, this just isn't my vibe.
Even if it could have been a good payday, you're like, no,
right.
You
I was
know
like,
what?
it's just
like,
not
it's not
worth
gonna be worth it. Okay.
Right. It's not worth the stress. Like, it's not worth the continuous, like, it just felt from the phone call I had with them, it just felt like I was constantly going to be under scrutiny. And they were very cost conscious, which I totally understand. At the same time, they were like, we're cost conscious, but we don't want it to look bad, but we don't want to spend a lot of money. And I was like, but what does that mean? Like, what's the price range for everything? And they're like, this isn't our first rodeo. We know what we're doing. I'm like, okay, you know, thank you for the time. And I emailed back. It was not mean. I just was like, hi there. Like, thanks so much for chatting. It was really great catching up. You know, I think that we're just not going to be a good match. I feel like you're going to find what you want from somebody else. I don't think I'm going to give you what you deserve, and just let it go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you worked with couples that you felt like they shouldn't be together, or is that even your place to judge, or like?
Definitely would not say it's my place to judge.
Yeah.
Though, like, I'm sure, but no, actually, most of my couples are really wonderful. You know, I don't think I've ever had anyone where I was like, this doesn't seem right.
Right.
Everyone I've met with, I'm like, they like each other, you know? But I mean, lots of people that like each other do end up divorced eventually. So like maybe in 10 years I'll find out, but maybe it's that Catholic thing, you know? There's a lot more pressure to stay together. So a lot of them actually like each other.
And is there a type of wedding that you haven't done yet?
I have not done a like an Indian wedding or yeah.
What about an arranged marriage?
No, I haven't done one of those.
Those either.
Those are, I mean, that's just not to say I can't learn a culture and I can't learn how to execute that.
Yeah.
But I will never fully understand the different backgrounds there, you know, to the same degree of someone who has that background, who has attended many of those weddings. So hopefully one day,
interesting.
You know, I wouldn't want to take that on after not being a part of one. So if I was given an inquiry for like an Indian wedding, let's say, I would rather say no and then go out and like assist on weddings, learn about those types of weddings, learn all the different cultures and celebrations that happen, different ceremonies, and then be comfortable aiding in that sort of event.
Yeah.
But until then, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I just don't think that's fair of me to do that. Like, yeah, I totally got you.
Be transparent and upfront about it.
Right.
Okay.
I'm like, I haven't done this. Like, whereas like Catholic weddings, right? Like, I've done a bunch of those. I've done Jewish weddings. I've done secular weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you prefer one over the other, like in the city or in the suburb, or you've done in other states as well? Is there a preference?
I mean, if you'll pay me, I'll go wherever. But I mean, I love Chicago weddings.
Yeah.
But that's also because I live in Chicago, like
Right.
in the city.
Right.
So it just makes it easier for me to get home at night, and I understand the movement of the city better, right? So I understand that there's certain traffic patterns, so I can help with transportation and that sort of thing. Whereas like the suburbs is just a longer ride home at the end of the night. It's a little bit of a different format, right? Because people aren't vying to get photos of the Naperville skyline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's a little different. But I mean, I'll go anywhere. I really, like I said, I really just enjoy my couples a lot. And so if I really...
it's about who's there.
Right, like if I think they're wonderful, if I think their friends are going to be wonderful, like, great, sign me up.
Interesting. Is there a part of the country or maybe around the world that you'd one day would like to plan in? Plan for?
Wow, actually, I don't know.
I love the West, so I would,
yeah.
Pacific Northwest would be awesome.
I like nature.
I know Eric's shot some in that area.
That's it's just such a different, the thing is, it's such a different market. Like, it's such a different vibe. Chicago is so, for starters, flat. It's very flat. And it's a lot more like metropolitan. Yeah. Whereas the Pacific Northwest is much more that adventurous, naturey. Yeah. Not to say that I'm not, but I don't know. I would like to do something out there, but I don't think it would take the same shape as a Chicago wedding. So I guess it'd be very interesting.
Would you ever get tired of going to similar areas around Chicago, like Lincoln Park, Michigan Avenue, the bridge, and like rooftop places? Like, does that get? I don't know if you've been doing it long enough to know.
Old?
Does that get old? You know, like.
I guess like. I wouldn't say it gets old. Like, it doesn't get old. Sometimes you're like, yeah. Like Wrigley Building, sure. Like, sometimes you crave, some sort of uniqueness.
It's not novel anymore. Well, maybe novel to them.
Novel to them, but not to me, right? Like, and I get that. But at the same time, there's kind of like a FOMO-y aspect of it, right? Like, a lot of weddings I feel are very FOMO-y. Like, people want to be very unique, but then they're like, but then am I missing out if I don't do this instead, right? So then, you just shift back. At the same time, from a business standpoint, it makes my life in prep easier when I work with a lot of things I've already done before. So like people going from the Wrigley Building to like the Lincoln Park Boardwalk, like I know what that transport is going to look like.
Right. You're able to foresee.
Right. Like I like that consistency because I know what it's like to work in the spaces, and then I know what the load-in's going to be like and what transportation will be like. So to me, it makes me more confident in making sure their days go well.
Yeah. And with that, is there still a certain level of uncertainty?
Oh, yeah, because you never know what's going to happen, right? Like, the bus driver could just take a wrong turn, and it's a trolley driver, and they don't have the city memorized, and, they're using Google Maps, and Google Maps doesn't work on Lower Wacker, like that sort of stuff, right? Yeah. So, but that's kind of what I like, too, is like, okay, so the day is going to go fine. But then if anything not the way you planned happens, and I've never had a, like, crazy terrible thing happen, like nothing where like something was on fire, but it's kind of fun to use your problem solving skills and like thinking on your feet. That's to me, that's so fun to think of, like, okay, well, how do we make this work, and we make this work in the moment, and how do we think as rationally as possible about how we fix this, and that's cool.
With FOMO, fear of missing out, have you dealt with maybe brides or grooms that it's coming up to the big day and it's like, oh, I wish I picked this vendor or this, or like I've been seeing more dresses that I thought maybe I would like a little more than the one I picked. Like, what's your advice to them?
I did actually have a bride almost change her wedding dress like a month beforehand, but it wasn't even because she thought other ones looked nice. It was because people in her family were not kind to her about it. I'm like, that's just so disheartening. You're like, oh no, like. Yeah. I was like, it looks beautiful. If you need someone, like, you look beautiful in it. But most people feel very, most people I've met with and chatted with feel very firm in their decisions. But in terms of changing stuff, like all business things, it's really difficult because there is a deposit that you're losing, and all the planning that goes with it. So it's kind of like a sunk cost. At the time, but you can always change things up. And what I usually tell my couples is like, how much of a priority is this actual thing on your day, right? So flowers, like you could probably change the flower colors like 2 weeks beforehand. You could, if you really wanted to, if that's what your priority is, right? But if it's like, I wish our invitations looked different, like they're already sent out, so like, again, sunk cost. But like, how much will this shape how you're going to feel on your day? Yeah. Like, will it actually change things, or will it just, for aesthetics, feel better?
You gave great advice on, someone they get engaged, and what should they do first, and things like draw up a guest list and really hammer out what you want to prioritize and put in a deposit for these things, or just what you really want what do you really care about on that big day and make that list. Have you experienced a certain budget that will give you the most bang for your buck? Is there a range? And let's say for Chicago, for our market. I know it's such a
the phrase "bang for your buck" is just so hard because to some people, and I hate being this like political person saying this, right? But like that money is very relative to people, right? So I had someone call me the other day, and their total budget was like $15,000.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and that, I mean, this was in the suburbs. It really does stretch a lot further in the suburbs. It really does. But then she wanted to hire me for like full planning, and I just straight up told her, I was like, I do not feel comfortable, like morally and ethically, taking that percentage of your budget. Like I can't do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the city, I mean, obviously the sky's the limit, so you can spend a lot of money in the city. I'd say most weddings that I produce, right? So like you are these are people that are consciously taking on the added cost of a coordinator.
Yeah.
So already the sample size is going to be higher budget, right?
Yeah.
Are anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000.
Okay.
Yeah. But
interesting. And like, so would you say like anything after $100,000, it's like the return on that is like marginal?
It depends. That's just like the worst answer in the world, I know. But it's like you could, so there are some bands that are like $25,000 and they are phenomenal. Okay. Like when you're the one sitting there in the corner sober and you have the chance to actually listen to them singing, right? Like you can judge them. And there was one band I was like, I don't know if they should really be attempting Love on Top by Beyonce. Like that is a hard song, and they crushed it, right?
There you go.
To me, that that would be worth $25,000. Like that return, if someone can actually sing Beyonce's Love on Top, like great. At the same time, the majority of those people are drunk, so like I don't know if they would even know the difference, right? Yeah. But I don't know if you, I don't know. The wedding industry's hard, right? Because you're gonna hear those critiques like it's just one day, like you know, why would you spend all this money on one day? But at the same time, it's like I don't know, like who doesn't like throwing a huge party? It's very like I understand them. Like that's why I really like to focus on the coordination part because to me, you're trying
to make that dollar stretch,
I'm just trying to make it worth what they invested.
Yeah.
Like because at that point, I'm not trying to convince them to spend money on stuff. They've already spent the money. So really, I'm just in charge of
all the
making
juice
sure,
out of what they did buy.
Right, like I'm just really in charge of making sure that it happens the way they wanted. Okay. It happens the way that they planned it, right? Like I don't have to sit there and be like, yes, this is worth $5,000 extra. Like I don't have to do that because you know what, they did that.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel bad being like, great, you want to invest in making sure that someone makes it all happen, then I'll be there. I will be there to make that happen. Okay. So yeah. It's hard. I get it. I really do have a lot of like Catholic guilt in me, and that this is something that I grapple with a lot.
And can you explain
how many times can I say the word Catholic, by the way, in this whole podcast?
Yeah.
Marketing plug.
Can you explain that Catholic guilt? Like what?
Oh
is
yeah,
that?
I don't know how to explain that.
You don't know how to explain that?
I would. The best way I can put it is like the inherent feeling that you can always be
doing something wrong.
Either doing something wrong, or you could be doing something better. Like that I constantly am afraid of not doing by the right thing. Like I don't know. I think it's very much like I think a lot of my Jewish friends also say there's like Jewish guilt too. Like it's just kind of this, you know, like it's like in you, and you're just, you know, you just feel bad all the time.
And so I want just personal thoughts, not necessarily for business, but like what are your thoughts on spending that much money on your big day? Like, have you come across people that are way over their budget and you're starting this next chapter of your life in a hole and that you're digging yourself out of? So what are your,
none of my couples have been there, which that's really good. Although to be honest,
I've
never asked
that they
them.
were yeah, exactly.
But none of them have ever, you know, you do, not to say I don't know my couples, but like this is technically an intimate part of their lives, right? Like at some point you kind of learn some things that are happening. No one's ever been, you know, stressed about that stuff. I have heard stories from couples that took out like a mortgage on their car or their house. I don't know how it worked, but they were like $40,000 in debt because of a wedding. I think that's silly. I don't think you should do that. Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. It's just not worth it. Like, that's not, to me, it's not worth it, you know? And it's funny because I have a lot of wedding industry friends that are married. And some of them have these like big weddings, and they're like, you know, if I could do it over again, I loved my wedding, but if I could do it over again, I would just have like 40 people in our backyard and just like have a wonderful day and like still make it fun, but it doesn't need to be crazy.
Yeah.
You know? So I think you can achieve the same sense of celebration with like something small and intimate versus a large shebang. But like, I do get it. In theory, this is like the only time it'll happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's hard when the whole world wants to do this.
I feel like I would want to get everyone from different phases of my life there, right?
Right. And that's the thing, is it's like, it's the only time in your life, again, in theory, that people from your partner's side are there, from your side are there, again, from all the different phases of life, college, high school, after, like, you know, you never know when those people are all going to be in one place. And it is really a fun time to be with all those people. Yeah. So like, I get it.
So if you can afford it.
Right. If you can afford it, go for it, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so the big question is, when it's your day, would you hire a planner? Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't hire a full planner.
Yeah.
But I would hire someone to execute the day for me.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no way I don't want to be in charge.
Yeah.
No, I love being there. There are certain parts I love being in charge in general. I really do. I'm sure there's like a control thing, and I should go to therapy. That's fine. But there are certain parts of my life where I'm like, yes, I want to release control. Like, I am here just to show up, and I think that is going to be one of those days where I'm like, the whole rest of my life is being in control. Good. I don't want to be in control today. That's not what I want. Yeah.
Cool.
At the same time, I want a surprise wedding at my engagement party.
What is that? Wait, what?
So like, invite everyone to a large engagement party.
Yeah.
And then be like, surprise, we're getting married.
Oh.
That's what I want.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And
I've never
in theory,
heard
a little bit cheaper, I hope so.
Of one of those. Interesting.
Yeah.
Something to think about. I meant to ask this sooner, but because Anna told me, how hard was it walking away? Are you part of the Frisbee?
From Frisbee?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I didn't walk away. Well, the season ended. So we finished our season. Okay. And with things in the wedding world, right? Like, I already know my year. Like, I can know my year ahead of time, at least a year for sure. And so I knew even at the beginning of this past season, I have 2 weddings over, one for me, one for Liz, who is the person I hired.
Wait, so you've given the reins over to like a whole wedding to?
No, I will do all the prep work and she will execute the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's just for right now.
Interesting.
If she wants to do the full shebang, we will discuss like what that looks like. But for right now, it's easiest, at least for me, to like do the process I have and all that jazz. Yeah.
How'd you guys meet?
I was in some like Notre Dame email or something like that, like some newsletter blast. Oh. And she reached out because she was thinking about wedding planning and her friends were getting married and yada yada. We met for coffee. That was 2 years ago. Then I didn't hear from her for 2 years, and then like not actively, you know. And then she reached out again asking about something wedding specific because she was helping a friend with their wedding. And then she helped me on a wedding. And then I was like, hey, wanna help me on weddings? So, yeah.
And so at what point in did you feel like, wow, I think I need some help?
When Notre Dame not Notre Dame, oh lordy. Chicago has such a limited wedding season.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're people, man, last year I got 5 inquiries for September 21st. And this year everyone wants 10/10/2020, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like you know, I'm missing out on potential business if like I have limited time as a human.
And they're different parts of
right.
different locations. Okay,
like I can only be physically at one place at one time. Yeah. And so as a business, I'm missing out on business, right? Yeah. If I can't do more than one. Which is why like this is a very interesting, like service jobs are very interesting because like you are very limited by the amount of hours that you physically can work. which is why it's good to have diverse incomes and blah, 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 business things. But which is why it's good to have multiple people working. Yeah. So Liz can do weddings on weekends that I am already booked or weekends that I'm unavailable. So I am now getting to the point where some of my friends are getting married. So like I have to go to those weddings. So I can't do a wedding on those weekends, but because it's a wedding weekend, right? Like those are summer weekends. Like I could have been doing a wedding. So yeah.
Well, it tells them a lot that your presence is, you know.
Oh, I told all my friends if they want me there, they need to tell me very early. If they don't, then like, can't guarantee anything. But yeah, well, so then yeah, I have 2 weddings over nationals for Frisbee in 2020, and so even if I did play, I couldn't go to nationals, and that
was it.
I mean, I'm a very competitive person, unfortunately.
Did you go to there were tryouts recently, right?
Yeah, that was for the women's professional team up in Milwaukee. Yeah. And I thought about that as well. But then I have 3 weddings out of the 5 weekends they have games. So I don't want to be a bad teammate either. Like I already had to do that this past year where we would practice on Saturdays and Sundays, and I would have a wedding on Saturday, and then I would go to practice on Sunday. The way that Nemesis, which was the elite women's team I was on, works is that the team itself votes for who's on the team. So I tried to make it very known as possible. Like I will like not be in attendance on certain Saturdays because of weddings, you know, and people know that. So I wanted to be a good teammate. Like I would understand if people didn't want me on their team because I physically cannot show up to half of the practices. But this past year, it was much more manageable. But this year, just growth every year, right? Like I can't do, even if I didn't have weddings over nationals, it was really hard to do both. Yeah. Like by a couple weeks after doing that, like a couple weekends in a row, like I was a royal bee. Like I was a royal bitch that one weekend, and I felt so bad. Okay. But I was just so tired, and I'm not like that when it comes to sports and running around. I like to be with people. I like to be happy, and it just was too much, which was sad because it's a really fun community, and it's really fun to be around those people. But unfortunately, I picked a job that was also the same time that they do things. So it's also a very expensive hobby. So. Oh,
wait, what?
Yeah, it's a club team.
Because, you don't really get paid a lot.
No, we don't get... Well, so the women's professional team will get paid.
Yeah.
They won't have to pay for
travel expenses and whatnot. Yeah.
Right. They won't have to pay for that. Whereas the team that Anna and I were on, Anna is my Frisbee teammate for everyone else that needs to know. We play on a club team because there wasn't professional leagues beforehand. Yeah. So club is the highest level you could be. Okay. And so we were on the highest level women's team in Chicago. With that, there are really wonderful opportunities like traveling to Colorado and Minnesota and San Diego, all on our own dime. So you get the opportunity to play. It's really fun as an adult. You have this community and a sport, and it's not competitive. Like it's competitive, so it's really fun. Yeah. But it can be upwards to $1,500 just depending on like what flights you take or where you stay or. Yeah. And that's just a really expensive hobby. So I'm really excited for my Irish dance lessons come March, which are $132 for 8 weeks. So there we go.
Now let's go full circle. Would you ever consider franchising out?
No.
Yeah. So like, I don't know if you make 10-year plans, but like, how do you plan to scale? Yeah.
So, I want to make YourDaybyMK an overarching brand. I intentionally did not pick YourDaybyMK I intentionally picked YourDaybyMK to be the business name to not have the words weddings in it or events in it. Just because I did want to do different workshops, right? So we talked about Eric Floberg. Yeah. He's a photographer and he hosts photography workshops, and I do a lot of logistics planning for that. So I want to do stuff that weren't weddings.
Coming up in March.
Yeah. And I'm like I'm doing a retreat in April. Okay. And, and that's fun to do some different creative things that aren't weddings. So I want YourDaybyMK to be an overarching brand. This podcast that I'm launching will be part of that brand eventually. And just trying to think of more ways to build that brand out in terms of the wedding sector part of it. Yeah. I will still obviously do it because I enjoy being with my couples. Yeah. But to build that will be to have maybe one more person other than Liz, you know, maybe have like Liz and somebody else, or even if Liz, you know, goes off or whatever, but like have other people take the reins on those. And be more the faces of, like, Your Day by MK is more the overarching brand versus just a wedding firm.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, I do think it's,
I think Gus said the same thing about ESQ. It's like, this isn't Guz's shop. This is ESQ.
Right, yeah. Well, mine has my name in it, so I don't know. I'm a little bit more of a narcissist, but
yeah. I mean, not that you're a narcissist. It's just, also, I don't know a lot of MKs either. So
thank you.
It's just, it's unique.
Yeah.
I had one last thing. Oh,
it's over.
Yeah. I don't think we talked about, let's plug the pod, right? So, like, I don't think we talked about that while we were recording.
Yeah.
So what's the purpose of first 100 days all spelled out?
Yeah. I always wanted a podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, this is just funny. My dream jobs were either to be like a talk show host or high profile campaign manager.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of like the talk show host part of it. I love connecting people. I do a lot of like, if I have friends on Facebook or in my life that don't know each other that I think should know each other, I put them in a Facebook group. Yes, I put them in a Facebook group, and then I'm just like, bye. You guys should be friends. Here's why. And then I like leave the Facebook group, and I never know if it pans out, but you know. So I kind of want to do that in terms of other parts of life, very similar to what you're doing with this. But so it's inspired by the idea that the first 100 days of a presidency are so important and pivotal and like necessary for change, quote unquote, right? And so then I theorized that the first 100 days of X must also be just as valuable or important. And I would love to talk to heads of state and leaders and like CEOs of major companies, right? Because like that's like taking over a huge role in something, as well as first 100 days of being a parent, first 100 days sober, first 100 days. I'm talking to someone who, you know, built and created a restaurant here in Chicago, right? Like, what does it look like to build a restaurant? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know these things. I'm talking to a 6th generation organic farmer. Do you know anything about farming? I know nothing, because I am a city slicker, okay? So, like, even just learning about anything farming related will be fascinating. So, yeah.
Interesting. And so then what do you think makes a good host?
Doing the exact opposite of what I'm doing right now, not talking too much, right? So like obviously I'm the guest, so I'm having the ability to chat about stuff. I think a good host has the ability to create a space where people can talk about what they are fascinated about, what they're interested in, and ask questions that aren't like your standard cut and dry, what you expect to hear out of the interview.
And so how does that work?
Yeah, I think it takes like prep, obviously. If I want to be talking to these like very important people, I have to have prep. At the same time, I think it takes intentional listening and hearing what they're actually saying, and then asking a question based off of what they've said, not what I've prepared ahead of time. Because I think I'm personally just a naturally inquisitive person. I love to ask questions. I'm very annoying like that. And I think in those interviews, I hope to do that. Like when they're speaking and just being like, well, why would you, what would you do that for? Or why would you do that? Or how's that prepared?
If they've been interviewed several times, it's, you don't want to repeat, the same thing over and over again.
Have you ever seen Hot Ones?
I love Sean Evans.
Okay. I want to be him.
He went to Urbana.
Really?
He did study.
Oh, yes, he did. I did.
Like
yes.
Journalism or media. Yeah. And at Urbana. And he is a great host. So I learned a lot about interviewing through him. He was the one that was like, I think the reason why people like this show is because he does create a space for them to just be themselves. I want to do what he does. And I think one of my friends criticized him for being like too bland, like not, and I was like, I don't think so, but you're wrong, but okay. But I mean, if that's what gives the opportunity for these people to feel comfortable and just chat about silly, funny things, then sure. Yeah. I'm not saying I want my podcast to be like a comedy show because I don't really feel like I would love to have like have Barack Obama on or like Mayor Pete or what I mean? Like I would love to have like very important people. I'm not trying to do a comedy show with them. Because Obama's on a show called Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm very unaware of these things right now. I just want to start a podcast. I don't listen to very many of them.
So has Hillary Clinton.
Oh.
So it's like you want to show them in a different light,
right?
And
yeah, and it's like, and no one knows. I don't think people know the preparation that goes into a lot of stuff. Like, I think we put so much, this is my politics side coming out again. We care so much about national elections when the elections that actually matter to you are local elections, and nobody cares and nobody knows. And I will outright admit that I also don't know a lot. Like, I don't, because I should take more time to learn it.
But how much of the national elections will affect you, like in the street level?
Right. Like, not as much as people think. I mean, yes, there are some. And I will admit that it will be disheartening again if, like, Trump is elected. There's a lot of stuff that happens with that. But, like, your local elections matter a lot, and I just don't. So I think to the same degree, like, people don't understand the the preparation it takes to become, like, mayor of Chicago, or to become, to become CEO of Vogue or CEO of Aeon, or, because we just, they just are. But, like, what does that mean? Do they have goals? What is the minutia of their day?
And so how do you plan on obtaining these guests, because these are high profile guests?
Yeah, well, I think in the long run, ideally, from everyone I've chatted with, they like the angle. I think I provide a different angle than other podcasts. You're probably also
meeting high profile people through your service, your planning service.
Yes, no. At the same time, like,
You're not like, I have a podcast.
Yeah, I'm not going to be hey, thanks for paying me. Also, like, what connections do you have?
I get that.
What I do for every idea I have, and this is what I did when I started with YourDaybyMK as weddings. I went through every single person I knew on Facebook, every single person I have on Instagram, every single person I have on LinkedIn, which is, like, weirdly the sneaky one, right?
It's coming up.
Yeah, and I wrote down their name and how they could help me. Even if I, like, barely know them, those are probably obviously the people I'm not going to reach out to immediately. But you never, like,
you honestly never know.
What's the point of having a network and connections if you're not going to use them? And I'm not asking people to, like, donate me money. I'm, like, sitting there going, hi, I'd love to feature you on a podcast. Please tell me about yourself, right? Like, this is free marketing, Right. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's about being creative with who you know. I think all it takes is, like, one important person, but I could be wrong because I've never done this before. So who knows? I just think I hope that the angle I provide is different and intriguing enough that it will lend itself to good guests. I don't know.
I think that's what's gotten me to where I am is I don't have an agenda. I'm not looking for a job. I'm genuinely inquisitive like you are.
Yeah.
And I think we do a good enough job to where they've opened up to a point where they didn't realize they would, and they had a good enough time to where they might know someone that should come on.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So
just keeps the ball rolling.
It does keep the ball rolling.
It snowballs itself. Yeah.
And so that's it. Do you have any other?
That's it. Goodbye, guys.
Any
I'm
other
just kidding.
last advice for aspiring planners?
If you want to open your own business, understand that it's 70% business, 30% wedding planning. I spend a lot of time thinking about marketing. There's a reason why I said the word Catholic so many times and Notre Dame so many times. Wink, wink. Irish Catholics, please hire me. But that's the majority of owning a business is owning a business.
Yeah.
So understanding that. When it comes to wedding planning, get really good at networking and not in the, like, scummy way. Just, like, understand that we are all working together. The Chicago wedding industry is very community over competition, which is awesome. And it's so wonderful. So don't try to isolate yourself, I guess. I have a tendency to want to, like, be in my own business and just kind of do my own thing. Because I also just value my non-wedding friends so much. Like, I love my friends from school. At the same time, because so much of the wedding world, because we only can take on so many weddings a day, right? You want those referrals. You want the friends and the benefits that come with being each other's pals and learning from one another. So if you want to be a planner, at least in Chicago, be ready to make friends because you have to.
I think collaboration just makes the world go round.
Right.
It does.
Like, I don't know things about flowers. I really don't. So like, I can't be the expert. Like, this is why we need florists, guys. So yeah, I know nothing. That's okay. Funny. Like a lot of my couples sometimes will be like, if we. Actually, no, this is not true. I don't have a lot of couples that say like, I'll DIY flowers, but like, I've had to tell certain people that inquire, like, can you put our centerpieces on the table? And I was like, yes, if you've already arranged them, I will gladly put them on the table, but I cannot arrange flowers. Like, I will do my best, but that is not my skill set. Yeah. And then they usually don't hire me, but that's fine. That's not my demographic, so it's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So like, yeah, that's my advice. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
I hope I didn't talk too much.
No.
Or I mean, I hope I talked enough.
When can we expect the pod to come out?
Wow, this is a very lofty goal, but I would like it to come out March 1st.
Okay.
That's a very lofty goal.
Yeah.
But doing all the recordings in February. Yeah. March 1st. We're just gonna say it.
Let's do it.
This is
you heard it here, guys.
Yes, this is the other thing I'm just gonna mention really quick. If you want to do anything, people are always like, "Oh, how did you start Your Day by MK? Like, how did it start?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I just said it enough that I had to do it." Like
told people about it.
Yes, I just kept saying it. I just kept being like, "I'm gonna start my own wedding planning firm post grad," and then it helped that I didn't apply to other jobs. I didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
But like, if you just say it enough, eventually people are going to expect it, or they're gonna turn to you to do the work that you say you're doing.
Right.
And it'll start to happen. So March 1st, I'm just going to say it enough.
I dig it.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
Keep an ear out.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Stay curious. Habla aloha.